Episode 3 of a collection of spaces. So this episode is with Matt Watts. He's a joiner, carpenter, builder, any of the above, I guess you could call it. I don't know what he would call himself, but that was kind of what I would categorise him as. I've known Matt for, roughly around 20 years. We grew up in the same hometown, like skateboarding and BMXing, so spending a lot of time at the local skate park. I knew like him and his group of friends, they were kind of a generation above me, so they'd always have interesting stories, and I reconnected with him last year through his mutual friend. His friend Gav mentioned that Matt had started a YouTube channel and that he'd been filming kind of every day, like vlog style, in his workshop and on jobs, on sites. And I went, I guess, down the rabbit hole of just watching all his videos kind of back to back. And it was really nice to kind of, I guess, connect with him in that way, just like seeing, someone a little bit through their personality, but then just seeing them work is really interesting for me anyway. So in this episode, we just spend some time wandering around the workshop, chatting about tools, chatting about different spaces that he's been in throughout his kind of journey to where he is now. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this one, and let's go. So today I'm here in the Bedfordshire countryside with Matt Watts. Matt and I have known each other through the skate park in Kettering, our hometown, since that was built kind of in 2002, I guess. I think we did go to the same school, Latimer.
Did you go Latimer?
Yeah, but you were a couple of years ahead of me.
Oh, I thought you went Bishop.
No, so I guess I don't know when I would have. Probably around 2002 was when I finished there.
Yeah.
In that way. So we've known each other for quite a while, but it's only maybe basically in the past year. Well, actually, I did some work for your wife nearly 10 years ago. For her business, like when I used to do the website work. So we cross paths like a few times over like a 20-year period.
Literally on a board and a bike.
Yeah. And I remember like Matt and his friends they were like the generation above us at the skate park, and they were kind of the crazy guys, and you'd hear stories about them and all these different kinds of things. But they were like really good skateboarders and kind of well respected within the really strong skate community that we had in Kettering, like through the shop chopper and all those different bits. But yeah, in the past year, we've been messaging back and forth on Instagram and via YouTube. Yep. And that was just from like a chance encounter with one of Matt's friends, Gav, last summer at a party, and he was like, "Oh, have you seen Matt's YouTube channel?" And I was like, "No." So then I went down, and that was kind of the middle of the summer, and January in that year, you started filming kind of every day, trying to put out a video a week on YouTube or something, like a vlog, kind of diary of your time in the workshop. And it was just really cool to kind of watch someone that I kind of knew in a more than just finding someone on YouTube. You kind of, know them a little bit, maybe their quirks, like the way they kind of talk. And I really connected with you through that. And then I came here in January this year, and we just stood here by the fire because it was really cold.
That's right, yeah.
And just chatted about kind of making. So Matt's work, I guess in the beginning of maybe watching you, it was a bit more like buildery, if that makes sense, compared to what maybe it is now, which is more the wardrobes and the joinery.
Yeah. I was always doing the wardrobes I was doing before. Yeah. It's just that when I started doing the YouTube, which is what you would have seen, I just happened to have a house on in where I live that I just sort of was doing bits and bobs there. Most of it was joinery related making here. Yeah. But and actually some of the wardrobes you've seen on the channel of me been going back when we've done the upstairs have been at the same house. Yeah. But yeah.
Nice. So maybe we should just go right the way back. When did you get into kind of making, and did you start from school, like being?
No, so I went.
Like, what's your journey been to kind of where we are today?
So I went to a place called Scots of Frapston, if you've heard of it.
No.
It's like a timber yard.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it last time.
Yeah. So I went there. That was after school. I did 1 year MVQ at school, but I didn't really get on very well. Then I went to Scots of Frapston. Yeah. I think when I was younger, I wasn't really applying myself, and I probably like when you're talking about like crazy days. I did used to mess around a lot. I didn't take things seriously. So I actually basically, this is going to sound terrible. There's a long list of places that I left. That I went somewhere, didn't really last very long.
Trying to figure out the path.
Yeah, and then my dad, he at the time was working abroad. So I moved out there to work abroad in an island called Fuerteventura. And
we're just on a farm. Just if you hear any farm machinery in the background.
And you almost never hear him. But yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah, basically. And that was, I went out there and he was working for a company doing concrete swimming pools. And I sort of, because I'd done a little bit of carpentry work, if you like. And I worked with my uncle who was a carpenter, but never really done my apprenticeship, if you like. I started taking on the shuttering, the formwork. I don't want to go into too much detail, but started doing a lot of the more precise side of like the pool building. And I started like being given a lot of responsibility. I was probably like 18, 19 then. And I think I just started realising that I took myself seriously. I saw that I felt, sounds really, really arrogant, but I felt I had a really unique skill because I was working with people that just wanted to get smashed after work and were just pouring concrete. And I felt like I had like a unique skill in setting things out. I took myself too seriously. And I thought, I'm going to come back here to the UK where I can actually get help with that. You know, I can like push myself. So I came back to the UK and I couldn't get a job. I just couldn't find one at the time. Like, I think I was above where I wanted to be. In my head, I was thinking, I can just walk straight into like a carpentry job, if you like. And you couldn't.
When was this?
This would have been, I don't know what year. I'm not very good with years. So I would have been
2000, early 2000.
Well, I left school in '97.
Okay.
So it would have been early 2000. It would have been,
Okay.
And then I went and worked. I ended up working on sites for two carpenters in Northampton. I can't remember how I met those. I met those through a friend who skateboarded, who went Latimer actually. Okay. He was older than me, so you might not know him. A guy called Simon Ford. And he worked. He did a furniture design course at Nottingham Uni, and he ended up then being part of this interiors firm, like a contracts manager. And I went with these two chippies. They were from Trinidad and Tobago, but they lived in Northampton. They're really interesting characters. They were lovely blokes. So I was with them for about a year, but my paperwork wasn't getting done. So basically, I don't want to speak bad of them, but what was happening was I was kind of like being forced into being into work when I should have been maybe at college. Because things were getting quite sort of busy on site, if you like. And then I left those. Again, it's going to sound like I just kept living, but I left those after a year because I got an opportunity to work for somebody that was more local, who basically sort of, I think, recognised that I could do what I was doing and said they were going to put me through college within like about 2 or 3 weeks of working for them. They upped my money so much. Same thing, just said, well, we want you 5 days a week, we want you 6 days a week. So I went and did my carpentry in college in the evenings. They were really good about it. They sorted it all out. That would have been 2001, I reckon. I think that was. So I did that in the evenings. And then from there, I stayed on sites probably for 5 or 6 years. I really don't know. I'm not very good with timings. Sort of really loved working on site, got really, really into it. And then I just remember there was this 1 week or like period of my like sort of life, like maybe like a month on a job, where just everything, I realised that every job was grey because everything's like a shell. You know, it's all concrete and you get in there like and it's dusty and it's horrible. And I just thought I want like, and also when you're a carpenter on site, you end up just doing one process 9 times out of 10. You'll just be putting trusses on, or you'll be putting skirting boards on, you'll be putting doors on, and that's just because they systemise the whole building industry. And I just thought I want to, you know, I couldn't fit a kitchen. I've been asked to fit a kitchen for like friends, mums and stuff, but I couldn't do it because I didn't even own like a 1/2-inch router and things like that. So I just thought, I'm going to go, you know, put my name about with like local builders. And I ended up dropping my money massively, probably by like a third, to go work in houses around this area actually for a local builder who no longer does it. And then from there, I started doing it for myself. That was going really well. I ended up doing a couple of extensions, you know, so probably over the space of about 5 years, did a couple of extensions, I just was young and keen and was just like taking on loads and loads of work. And then I landed an opportunity randomly for a guy who ended up working, not when I started working for, but he ended up working for the band One Direction. So I ended up working with him for probably about 3 or 4 years, and he had a workshop in Earthling Borough, which is a town near where I live, a village near where I live, and that workshop was just ginormous, had every machine going in it. And I remember the day, so it's a funny little story, I remember the day I started, he got me in there to build these like mirror frames for a famous lady. And I didn't know the lady was famous, I didn't even know what I was doing. And he left me in there, with this scrap of paper to build these things with dimensions on. And these mirror frames were going to then go to a glazier, and they were going to get the mirrors all beveled and put on, but they had to be really, really accurate. They were fitting these vaulted spaces. And I looked around this workshop, which was probably about 5 or 6 times the size of this. All these machines. I knew what some things were, but I was sort of site-based, so I didn't know what a lot of I didn't really understand what a lot of the machines. If it had a blade on it, I could imagine it was obviously a table saw sort of. Sounds really, really naive. And as soon as he got back in his car and drove, I just went to my van, just got all my tools out and just started making it with my tools. And then over the course of, I must have done quite well for him because he kept ringing me up and I kept doing bits. And over the course of the next few months, I started turning machines on. I started building the courage to turn machines on and see what they do. And then he must have known, but then I guess he just kept giving me the opportunity and I just kept working away at it. And there was a joiner that used to sometimes come in there, and he was lovely. The guy I would call Mick, and he just used to, show me how to do certain things, little techniques. He used to. It was almost like he never really did anything, but just gave you advice. Maybe he was set up to sort of coach me doing
that. Like a technician, in a college or something like that, just there, in the space, and you're you're doing your own thing. But he's if you try this out, you might
But
speed you up.
The guy that we were working for was so under the radar that you wouldn't know what you were doing until you went and fitted, because he was working for some high-end people. So we didn't. I think he probably had One Direction as a client when I started with him. But I didn't know until a year or so in. And all of a sudden I went down to one of their houses. So that's how. So this Mick guy could have been doing all sorts, and I wouldn't have known. That's just the way he ran it.
So you're just very involved in one process. You're not like today where you're going from the start to the end, and you're involved in every single element.
So in this one, I was then tasked with actually doing a full, complete job, but I just didn't know who it was for. Because he was trying to keep everything secret, and then you would end up going to fit it, and then you would find out by seeing pictures on the wall or stuff like that. And it was very much like he'd tell you that because he doesn't want you to go down there, because obviously iPhones and stuff were around. He didn't want you to go down there and take photos. But he must have trusted me because I was one of the few people that never had to sign an agreement he had in place.
Like an NDA.
Yeah, that's it, and then I just one day just thought, again, I think, I'd had kids by then, but I still felt young enough to push myself. I just thought, I can do this for myself. I don't need to do this for someone else.
Nice.
I was wrong. Massively, because just the cost of machines and stuff like that, and I'm not really one for taking stuff on finance. I don't like that. But I took on a smaller space.
Was that the one before this space?
2 before this.
Okay.
So that was in. You might know. So I was in Glendon.
I knew you were there, but I didn't.
So that was the first one I took on. That was with another farmer. And farmers are great to rent off because they don't often want high rent. And they just let you do anything to the buildings, as long as you're clean. That was a lovely space. That was actually a similar size to this.
So how big is this space, just for the listener?
I think it's about 6 meters wide. And then these are 3.2 meter bays, so 6.4 to the middle, 12.8 meters. So it's a very similar size. But it was split into rooms. This barn. And it just didn't really work for what I was doing. In fact, if anything, it was the doors. There were, in old barns where the doors are really low, so I was having to carry, I was having to duck through doors. It was horrible, but it did mean that I never built anything that didn't fit in someone's house.
There you go.
Because which is.
Will it fit upstairs? Yes, it will. It fits through a 4-foot door.
Exactly that. It broke my back getting it into the place, so it's definitely going to fit. And then that went quite well. After I I realised that I wanted to, because when I was doing the stuff for this other builder, it was going to a spray shop and getting sprayed. But I I did that initially when I started by myself.
Yeah.
And then I realised that I wanted to have full control of what I did.
Yeah.
And then I took a massive backward step in the finishing because luckily a lot of my stuff was more traditional. Mm-hmm. So hand painting wasn't a problem. But I had a separate room where I could paint. But I soon realised that in order for me to be more productive, I needed to start spraying, which meant I needed a bigger space.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I panicked, I wobbled. I just thought I didn't really know what to do. Like, you know, there was a point where I just thought, I don't know if I'm going to be allowed in someone's like kitchen or bedroom. So I took on a much smaller space in Rushden. The farmer was great. He let me leave there with no notice as such. And when I took that smaller space on, I think every time you go to a space, like I just said actually about, you see if you've got the right mindset, you see the advantages that space give you. So that first space it made me, like I just said, and I was only joking in some ways, but I never built anything that didn't fit in someone's house. Yeah. And when I went to the second space, which was smaller, I had a roller shutter door. And I was like, this is brilliant for getting materials in. Mm-hmm. But I did build things that didn't fit in people's houses from time to time. I'm not going to lie. I built a bench that
I guess if you built in a warehouse, like your scale is kind of off.
Exactly, and you I can get so into stuff, into detail, that people aren't, as we spoke about earlier, people don't care about. I can be underneath something, worrying about something that nobody's ever going to look at, that I forget that I've just built a bench, that I have to take a window out of someone's house to get it in, which I've actually had to do. I've had to ring a mate up and say, I need your help to get it on top of somebody else's roof, to take a window out and slide it through to get it in. Yeah. But the second space, what it did have, because my first space didn't have a great deal of outdoor space, and everything was separated. There was lots of different rooms. There was a container at the other end of the site where I was keeping stuff. But my second space, it had an outdoor area which I shared with somebody else. Which first thing I did was put a skip there, built a couple of huts where we kept stuff that could stay outside, and I was like, this is brilliant. This is, I can be all in one place. It's a bit, so they were the sort of second set of advantages I learned. I thought I need to take that to my third space. Yeah. Because then COVID was sort of dying down, whatever you want to make of it. But basically, I just thought, well, I can definitely push it a little bit again. So I again just went to farmers. It took me probably about a year to find this, because I like to be. So we're just on the outskirts of a village called Purtonal, which is essentially like a dozen houses. Yeah. I like to be remote. I like what it offers me in terms of like my mindset when I'm here. Yeah. But I need to be near something so that I can sleep at night because I've got tools and stuff. Yeah. That's security. There's lots of things to it. The farmer lives on site. There's loads of things that you're looking at as well. But this space was kind of big enough. So the first thing I did was I put 2 mezzanine floors in. Yeah. Interestingly, I was looking at it the other day because I was getting into SketchUp when I took this on. And the first thing I did, I met the farmer at Christmas, and I said, I just need 2 nights to draw it on SketchUp to know if I can get it to work. Because SketchUp's a valuable tool for that, not just for making furniture, but for seeing if a space can work. And I drew it all, and actually I looked at the drawing the other day when I was on my laptop, because I still kept it in one of my dream folders. And it's more or less exactly how I drew it, which I like, but then sometimes think, did I pigeonhole myself into making it go that way?
Yeah. Maybe the next space would be an evolution of this.
It will be. It will be. Yeah. And this is there are a couple of things I have adapted slowly on this, but there's certain things like the panel saw has to go by that door. Yeah. It has to because you can't have it against that wall because then you can't utilise the space off to that side. Yeah. So it can either go in that corner or that corner, or opposite corners. But basically, for me, having it by the roller shutter door, and it's only a small, minute thing. It's not a big enough space where I even really need trolleys. No. But for me, I can bring materials in straight off the lorry onto the sheet rack, and then I can actually slide them off.
Yeah, it's like 2 movement kind of thing.
It's just like, that's probably not the noise you want to hear. That's good. But I can just slide that back to the door, and I can slide those off, slide them onto here, cut them, and then I've kind of got it worked in such a way that I like it so that all machining happens here. Yeah. So all cutting happens here. I can cut things on there and then slide them over to the thickness of planer. Yeah. And then sometimes what I do, I'll have like, I might have like, for making carcass tops and bottoms, I might have them all stacked on there. Then I'll just slide it all the way back over here till it meets this bench. Slide it onto this workbench where I do all the dominoes, things like that. And now I can put it back on there and slide it over to the pocket hole, So the panel saw kind of serves as a central point, if you like, that I can use the rest, and even to the point it's mad, but I'll bring it all the way forward, and I'll have it behind the spindle moulder.
Yeah.
So in here, where you're standing now, I create like a little. I'm completely surrounded by benches. You know, I like it. I can come in.
Yeah, you're not stacking stuff on the floor. It's like everything has a place.
Yeah. So I stack everything the right way around, and it goes through, and it goes on there. And if I'm doing like double-sided stuff, it can go through, and I'll turn it over there.
Yeah.
And then when I bring it back onto here, I can push it back to there, go back there, and start again.
Yeah.
You know, I can literally go till I'm dizzy. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, but it's
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess there are things that you learn from being in that really big workshop, like those kind of systems.
Yeah.
Rather than you put the table saw over on this side, and then you're like, right now,
which is what I was saying about how I realised it wasn't that easy when I first when I first took the first space on. Because when I first took the first space on, the only thing I was thinking about was dust.
Yeah.
Because in the original workshop that I started in,
it
was bigger than this, but it was tall. It was a barn sort of building. And basically, dust is just always there. You know, it's on everything now you see. So those workbenches I made in the first place, I thought all my workbenches are going to go to the floor. There's going to have there's no underneath, there's no legs. They're all just completely flat fronted. So that when I sweep the floor, I haven't got to sweep in between things.
Yeah.
I spent so long doing all of that I took my eye off the ball of how you're going to lay it out.
Yeah.
And then I started using the space, and I realised I was
walking into things, and
it was horrible, really, actually. And I'd built everything so well and rigid that I then couldn't, I couldn't move things without starting again. But I was working in it by that time, and when you're working in the space,
it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah. Whereas the benches I've got now, literally, it's a small thing, but you just lift them up, and that wheel folds underneath. Same with the other side, and I can just put the bench where I want. Same with that one. If I ever want to move that one, I don't think I'll move that one. I'm quite happy where that is.
So it's all like an evolution. Like doing something, it not working, or it working, and you're like, right, I'm going to repeat that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Inspect like with the benches and those kind of things.
So like, I get envious of your workshop, at times, and I'd love to experience a building. I'd love to know what that experience is from a carpentry, like a joinery sort of perspective.
Yeah.
Of a building that isn't, because I've only ever worked in buildings like this. All my workshops have been in like old barns or garages. So I'd love to work somewhere where the walls are possibly like smooth or flat, and there's a decent ceiling height.
There's definitely not a decent ceiling height in mine, but in that.
To know how dusty, does your building get dusty?
I think stuff does get dusty, but I guess I have everything connected to the vacuums and things.
That's the other thing. The machines aren't as good as the Festool.
Yeah.
In terms of dust extraction.
But I mean that. Not that I'd ever get the table saw. That would fill the whole room.
Yeah.
In that way, like a workbench. I've got 2 workbenches like this, like basically 1 metre by 2 metres, and then materials here. So you're kind of going like this a little bit. Got stuff on the shelves. There's a door here that I get the material in after I've lifted up a flight of stairs. Bring it in, put it on the table.
Work. Yeah.
And then they've got like a 3 metre rail that go like that, and they've got some racking here so I'll cut something and put it on the racking. So like doing this, spinning around is like, this is insane, like the amount of room here. But
I try and keep this as empty as possible because I think I've experienced what you've experienced in 2 buildings.
Yeah.
And you just did the crab walk.
Crab walking.
The amount of crab walking I've done around like my 2 previous workshops, or even how I have my van now, things like that. I just think, no, I've done it for so long now. I just want it in such a way where I've got the space.
Yeah.
So even if certain areas are suffered and condensed, they're almost areas that I'm not there for long.
No.
When I'm doing something, when I'm installing, when I'm making something or assembling something, that's when I want ultimate freedom and like so I can shift things around and move things. I'm not going to like have to repeat stack things.
Yeah.
That stresses me out quite a lot. But I will have to. Inevitably, you can't alter the fact. Like for a while, that thickness of planer was over here, this little letterbox hole here. I had it purposely as tight as I could go, and even cut a hole out in the wall so the fence, when it slid back, could go back. Because I was fixated on I could save a load of time by having a shelf. I had a shelf up here. So when I used to machine small pieces, I could put them on the shelf. Because I was like, I don't want to keep turning around putting them onto a portable bench because I hate like getting my sawhorses out for stuff. I like this to remain open.
Yeah.
And I kept with that for like 6 months until I was just like, I'm not saying sometimes you've got to accept there's a bit of chaos or there's a bit of moving, you know. But
it's just funny you're saying that, and then the space behind you is 5 meters by 5 meters of absolute. There's nothing there.
I like it there.
That way, but you're like, I need to save space in this one place.
I need to push it right up to the wall because. But we do that when we build, because you do a similar sort of thing to me. You know, well, especially if I'm doing like wardrobes and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you worry so much, even to the point where we've probably. I'm only going to guess because we've never spoken about this, but you've probably worried about the fitness of the back of a wardrobe at times. You know.
Yeah, saving. Yeah, like you were saying about making
4 or 5 mil, 20 mil, you know, and it's nothing. But then I'm worrying about saving, you know, it's all relative, isn't it? I'm worried about saving 100 mil there when I've got 5 meters behind me. Yeah. But to me, it's really important at that time. And then that weighs quite heavy on you, I think. And I think like that pigeonholes you into just going in a certain direction. But when you're in that direction, like I lived it for 6 months, and I just went, as long as you can sort of self-correct. I just went, no, actually, it's not worth it. Yeah. And I bit the bullet and I moved it over there. Yeah. I hate the idea of it being over there, but it works perfectly. Sometimes when I walk in the morning, I don't look in that way. But hide in your eye. But it works. And actually, interestingly, that is pretty much the setup of the first workshop. Yeah. Yeah. So if I was cleverer, I'd have just done it to start with. Yeah. But I just thought, but I haven't said that there are certain things I've implemented and I've just gone, no, I'm keeping that. And not because not because I've set, I'm set in stone on it, but because I think, no, that is an improvement. Yeah. There are only minute differences, aren't there? The things we sort of, do and change, really.
Yeah. And so in this space, it's just you here. Yeah. But in the spaces you had before, was that just you as well? Or did you have anyone else working with you?
Yeah, so when I was in Glendon in the first place, I had a lad with me full time for about a year. But I often used to leave him on jobs or leave him doing stuff. It was very rare that we were in the same space. Yeah. And if we did, I'd bring him in to do painting or something and he'd be in a different room. In the one after that, I had an apprentice for a whole year. And we worked really, really well together in that one, in a much smaller, I think that space, that was the COVID space I'm talking about. Mental space, because that was probably 4 meters wide by, say, 6 meters long, right? It was kind of like a double garage. That was all roller shutter door. So the whole wall pretty much was taken out. Yeah. But I got so much, I did like 2 kitchens out of there in a very short space of time. I really smashed through the work. And I think he acted, this is going to sound terrible if Will ever listens to this, but he kind of acted as a sort of, I always sort of imagine him sort of like walking around a bit like a sort of like a forklift, like Lurch from the Addams Family. Yeah. It just used to like turn around and he was there and I'd just put something on him. Almost like what I should have done thinking about it is I should have made him like a Velcro suit. And I should have put Velcro on all my tools. Yeah. He just was like my assistant. He was brilliant in that space. Yeah. And we just used to work so well together.
Kind of like a surgeon when they're just like, they don't need to look for stuff. Yeah, someone's just like kind of handing you those things. That's a good analogy because it was very much like you turn around and you have what you wanted. Yeah. But I remember on the first couple, he was quite a nervous character. And I remember on the first couple of weeks he was with me, you say to him like, your goal is to, if I'm looking for a screw, you've passed it to me. Yeah. And it was like he just took that. And he struggled with a lot of the other stuff, unfortunately. He didn't like the pressure of it. I think once he actually qualified, and I think I sort of like made him hate it that much that now he does something else. Yeah. But he was phenomenal. I didn't know how good he was at the time until he left either, which again is probably a bit like a space. You don't, like I realised all the assets of it once I left. Yeah. So I think if I do have another one now, I'll approach it a little bit differently. That's kind of what life is, isn't it? You learn sort of like in this industry especially, I think you learn by sort of, they call that learning by proxy, is that right? Where you learn as you go. Is that the right term or not? I'd probably just say learn by doing.
Yeah, learn by doing, yeah. So
just trying it.
Yeah, so he actually left the day pretty much that I came into here. Yeah. He was probably here for a week or so when I was setting it up. Because he was, because when I took this space on, it was completely empty. Yeah.
Was he a skateboarder?
No.
Right. I thought it was someone else.
It was completely empty and it was like damp and it was horrible. And I just had this vision. I was just moving like 100 miles an hour with it, and I think he was grateful to go at that point.
Didn't quite see the vision of what it could be in that way.
Maybe I think as well, like when you're doing that, and my wife was in Australia for the time. She's in Australia for 4 weeks. So I was doing I've got 3 children, I was doing all the school runs, and I was setting this up, and I wasn't working to just set this up. And I think I was possibly one of the most stressed and moving so fast.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've got pictures actually of even when I put these steels in, how I put them in.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't hiring anything. I built these like archaic sort of timber rigs out of the joists, which were ripped out of another old barn. I turned these joists into a big timber sort of A-frame. Like I rigged up a pulley block to lift these steels, and he's just there in the distance, just poking with a stick, trying to land them back onto the
I don't want to die. Today's not the day I want to die.
But I just had this vision that I was going to get it all, and you know, it's not like it's a house, it's not amazing quality and stuff, but even to the point where I had to put the electric in, like the 3-phase electric, I had to put that in. So that involved digging the yard up with concrete, and it's not like I wasn't going, right, well, week 1, we'll have it all dug up. I was like, we're having this done in a day.
Yeah.
The 2 electricians that helped me put the armoured cable in, electricians aren't the hardest working anyway, but they got till 12 o'clock, right, and we finally got the cable in, and I was like, right, the cable's in. I was like, should we start wiring at the barn? They were like, can we just charge you for half a day? We're done. And I was like, I've got another, and they were like, no, we're not going to get it done. And they just went home, and they came back another time. But I was like,
let's just get this, keep it moving.
Again, you do a similar thing to me. You know, the reality is no one's going to work as hard on your projects as you, are they?
Yeah.
And I think I went too hard and fast when I took this on, because I just had this, you know, huge vision of what I wanted it to be because of the other 2. I look at it now and I think it's tiny space really. It's nothing, and also it's kind of it's not a beautiful space, is it? You know, it's not. That's the other crazy thing. It's not mine. You can see over time where I've just gone, oh, that'll do. Like when I put that log burner flue in, I've just gone, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, I need to be warm this year. I'm not having another cold winter.
Yeah.
So I guess I've been in here. This might be my 3rd year. It might be my 2nd year. I'm not sure. I've definitely had 2 Christmases in here.
Yeah, but I mean, it's even from when I came in January. There's like evolution.
Yeah,
within the storage of things, and there used to be the big mitre. I think there's a big mitre bench there.
Yeah, mitre.
Got all the rack in there. You got this bit over here.
See, so YouTube is responsible for that mitre bench, because I've seen on so many American workshop videos people having mitre saw stations. You've probably seen it, and I built my first one in the first workshop, and I was like, I'm not really sure if this is worth doing it for me, so I adapted it. Yeah. And then when I come here, I thought, I'm going to do the ultimate one just for me.
Yeah.
And I built it, and I was like, no, I don't need it. You just don't. It's not necessary. And especially with the panel saw, that does it all. That literally can do everything like that could do. And to be honest with you, it's much more accurate once you get your head around it. I'm very lucky that I've got a very good German friend that is high-end workshop trained. And he can come in and just go, oh, you can use your panel saw for this, you can do that. And he's, so there was a mitre saw station, like you say, next to the log burner. And as soon as I put the log burner in, it kind of affected how that mitre saw station worked. Yeah. Because you hear all these people say, don't you, that you need 2 metres beyond it or 3 metres. Yeah. And it meant I had this, you know, just basically for the sake that I don't want this to burn, all my wood storage and, you know, burn down. Yeah. But because this does get hot. So I was kind of here with it, and I was like, oh, I'm only now just doing beads and stuff with it. And I've got a couple of jigs for doing beads where I can just whack it onto any other mitre saw and just get the mitre saw out of the van. That's probably what you do, get your mitre saw out of the van if you need to.
Yeah, just move it around,
Yeah, so, but I love the idea of having this bench all the way along here. Yeah. You know, it served the purpose, but then sometimes some benches, you don't know if you find, if you've got a bench against the wall in yours.
I have like a shelf on some twin slot racking for the mitre saw.
I just find that when you have a shelf against the wall or a bench against the view of wall in a workshop, you end up inevitably pushing stuff to the back. Yeah. And it frustrates you, because then when you and if you haven't got a good concept of the thing you're picking up and you put it down, you end up laying it down on something that's at the back. Yeah. And you kind of have to then move everything. Yeah. So that used to happen a lot.
So just trying not to repeat a motion basically with everything. It's like something goes from one place to another, goes to the next place.
And there's trade-offs. Like, so I with this, I thought, well, I'll put stuff in there. Yeah. Underneath the build a little section in between the top of the bench and the bottom to slide stuff in. But the problem is you then get all the dust and stuff. Everything covered. Yeah. And I shouldn't be doing this job, because I don't like repeating myself. And I don't like dust.
Yeah.
But
and this is just all about
they're
that.
two most inevitable things within my job.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
So how much time do you think you spend in here compared to like on site in that way? And on site could be basically someone's house, somewhere that's not here.
Probably like, I'd say a fair equation is 3 out of 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say that's pretty accurate. I do sometimes. I've got enough friends in like the building industry that want me to go and help them for the odd day. I've just done a couple of days. Somebody. I like that a lot of the time because it gives me away from the workshop and I can come back in.
Yeah.
But what I do find is, and you probably do this, I don't want to leave the workshop untidy and come back in. So sometimes if they say, like, I've just been literally in Kimbolton helping someone with a bathroom, it meant that I stayed late the day before I went to make sure that I'd put everything away in here. So when I came back in, I think I was going to come back in yesterday afternoon, but I didn't in the end. When I walk in on a Monday afternoon,
it's just ready to go.
Yeah, and I love that sort of walk in because that's something that I haven't had with the others as well. I haven't with the others. I've always had this problem. I've got no windows in here.
Yeah,
that's kind of essential, really, because you don't want to be broken into. And you know, obviously that will lead to, in fact, the first workshop I had windows everywhere and I boarded over them.
Yeah.
But in here, I can walk in, I can open both roller shutter doors, I can get the air coming through. And if it's completely, you know, it's pretty much empty now. I'm halfway through that media unit.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like to try and keep the benches clear of stuff. Even if I just get the blower out and just open both doors and just give it a quick blow, get the dust out.
Yeah.
It just makes
like a reset.
Yeah, it's like, it is a reset. Yeah, my friend calls it a reset. It's just like a reset, a refresh. I walk into an environment that, even to the point where the air filtration's there on timers. So I put so they go on for 2 hours, like after I've left at the end of, you know, a dusty day.
Yeah.
I make sure I've done that, you know, things like that. Just so I come in, and then I'm just more productive with my day, really, as well. Otherwise, I do find I spend a lot, you know, if I have to come in and tidy up in the morning.
It's like an hour, 2 hours
it's
gone.
More than that. Yeah. You're lucky if I've even do anything. If I'm honest. I just can't stop. I know I'll find something else to do. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, what about this? What about that? And I'll start. Yeah. This space really for me, that's what it means. It means because it's, you know, for you it might seem quite big. For me, it's nowhere near big enough for what I wanted. But it's still, regardless of the size, it needs to be clear, you know, and sort of. I can't come in and things be all chaotic.
Yeah.
I need them to be just where and there's parts of the day where they are chaotic. I hate coming in like halfway through a process, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess everyone's probably like that, to be honest with you.
Does that not, like what you said, like chaotic? Like I imagine building sites to be that.
Yeah.
So if you have like what seems like this mindset of everything kind of has its place and there's like a lot of process.
Yeah, this is me regaining control from
like
the
a
years
building
I lost.
site feels like the opposite of
does,
that.
yeah.
People, I get a bigger building site, maybe not just an extension where there's 5 or 6 people. But yeah, where it's just people coming in, everyone's doing their own thing. There's maybe not too much communication between different trades. I've never worked in these environments, so I don't really know. There maybe is, but it's like everyone's got their job to do and they're just doing it. But you maybe feel like you're moving around and treading over people and stuff like that, or is it not like that at all?
Yeah, it's massively like that.
Yeah.
And you're also, which is why people have like, you know, all the tool belts and stuff on. I never really wear a tool belt in here because
it's kind of round.
Certain jobs I do, but most of the jobs I just got my systems, I got my drawers. I'll have like I'll have a tape measure in each little thing, so I haven't got to go backwards and forwards. And then if I'm doing like a final thing, I'm only using one tape measure, obviously, or a ruler. But on a building site, you're like, you're just scrapping for anything. You are, and also, so even now, like I say, I've got friends that are in the building trade or even just old contracts managers, and they'll ring me up just for, and I quite like it. I quite like just nipping off for a day or two, just giving a bit of help, because it gives me a little bit of change of scenery. Yeah. Because 3 weeks
people
in here,
to chat to.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Conversation.
Yeah. They hate it, but I quite like it.
It's like you've been saving it up, and then
if I'm in here for 3 or 4 weeks, and basically I can't help but find that when I go to these situations, they might go, oh yeah. Can you just, while you're here, can you just knock this up? And I'm sort of there in the background, talking them into, why not I just take it away and make it in my workshop? Yeah. And they're like, just do it here. And I'm thinking, I would rather lose the time driving to my workshop, get to a nice bench where I've got all my stuff out. I couldn't think of anything. The amount of things I do, I'll pre-hang doors here because it's just nicer environment. Loads of little things I do if I'm working for people. Like I sort of engineer my job now to do things. Engineer what I'm doing out and about on site to just come back and do it here. Even what I've started doing recently is I'll pre-miter all my cornices and I sort of glue and domino them together, and then all I've got to do is scribe the ends so that when I get to site I haven't got to get the miter saw out. Now that's not because then I can just do everything with like the flush saw. You know, if I'm just
being a bit more systematic with it.
Yeah, and also I don't like having a miter saw out on the wobble on someone's drive. You know, and like propping it up.
Someone coming past and stealing it as well.
Yeah, there is that. And just even in terms of like the weather, that's a big factor in what we do, isn't it? If you can't cut inside, and you got to set up outside, So the workshop is kind of somewhere where it's complete. It's like a safe environment for me. You know. But I have to have the doors open. That's the only thing. I have to have like that sort of feeling of. And that's one thing I would like to change with this place, and that's something I do want going forward. I want to have the balls to have more outside, like to have more openness to the building. Like I panic even here because like dog walkers and stuff can walk past. The reality is,
middle of nowhere, kind of,
Yeah, it is. But I just, when I see people, I just sort of put my head down. Don't come up because they could, like lorry drivers and stuff. They could come and they could start chatting to you and they could see all the festival stuff. And they could think, I'll come back here tonight, couldn't I? And I've got some crazy security systems in place. I had my first workshop. I rigged up a car battery to the passenger
Allegedly,
door.
I did that allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I actually had to stop. I had to take it down. Found maybe take it down, but yeah.
But yeah, so I guess the beginning in the introduction I said about the YouTube, and that's kind of how I refound you in that way. So how was that process? Like, why?
That sounded quite nice, didn't it? Refound me.
Refound you.
Yeah.
Popped up on the internet. Why did you start doing that? So you started doing that in January last year, so 2023. Yeah. Like, what was the kind of? Why did you start doing that? And what has been that journey like? Doing that for a year, and you kind of slowed down a bit this year with it.
Yeah.
But like, what were the benefits of doing it? Hopefully there's more benefits than negatives in that
a bit of inside information. I've been filming YouTube for a lot longer.
Yeah.
But I just hadn't done anything with the videos.
Yeah.
Because they were terrible. And they were like, I was filming them in the wrong orientation half the time.
Yeah.
Like Will, my old apprentice, filmed loads for me. And me turning around talking to the camera, and I never even watched them.
Yeah.
You know, I've still got a few of them, and I've deleted loads recently actually off iCloud. I didn't really know what to do with them. So this will go sort of, this will, I love that, just swallows popping in. This will kind of go back into why I started. But I spent a large, period from the first workshop to here, watching so much rubbish and not even knowing why I was watching it.
Yeah.
Watching people just have the most, if you've got it,
woodworking content.
Yeah, woodworking.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
Mainly woodworking. Just opinions.
Yeah,
just people's opinions.
Okay.
So just because you've got an opinion, you can voice it.
Yeah.
And you can jump onto a forum. It's not just YouTube.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah.
You know, and I found that, and I kind of thought, oh no, actually, I think my way is better. I think I can do this. But there is a huge reality there. What I think is better is hard for me to get across.
Yeah,
communication. And I can't be concise. Some people can just do a short or something, and I'll watch it and go, well, that's obvious. Why are you telling me that? But it's clear, good information. So I try and make mine a bit more I try and make it concise, but it's not. And I found I couldn't do it. So I stopped. So I never did anything with the footage. And then there was another side to it. There's 3 sides to this, actually. So another side was I was watching you watched him because you told me, Nick Bundy.
Yeah.
So I get fascinated in other people's jobs.
Yeah. So he's an electrician.
Yeah, and he's an electrician on YouTube, does really, really well. And he did a video one year about how much he made that year in YouTube, and it blew me away.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, by the way. I champion YouTube. I watch anything from photography, which I no longer do. I watch anything about drone. There's so much stuff I watch. I don't even have a part of. I just get interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I just thought, oh, he made loads of money. Loads of money. I thought, that's interesting. Can you make loads of money out of YouTube?
See those dollar signs just
in
the thumbnail.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I thought that. And then I thought, and I liked the honesty of what he was doing. And then interestingly, as his work started slowing down recently, I've noticed that there's no honesty there anymore as well. It's all just whopping great big, what do you call it, thumbnails to get you interested. But sometimes the video's not really about that.
Yeah.
Customer didn't pay me, all this sort of stuff. And sometimes you think, do you dabble in that a little bit? I have dabbled in it, but not really. Anyway, yeah, so that kind of, that was there, the money. I thought, can you make money out of it? I thought, well, I can't do it, so it doesn't matter. And then it got to Christmas. And at Christmas, I for the last 10 years plus, probably because of kids, I have about a month off.
Yeah.
Right, I just do. I'll go in, do bits and bobs, but in reality, I'll try and pack up the week before Christmas, and I'll try and go back in at the end of January. Because I like to have a bit of downtime, like with my wife after Christmas. There's always something to do at home, like like a bit of painting or something. So that's what I like to do. And I couldn't go back to work. I had loads on. I just couldn't come back to work. And I had this place. I was probably as happy.
It's all there to go.
Yeah,
ready to go.
Yeah. I had work.
Yeah.
Really, really good friends around me as well. And also the most amazing family you could ask for. And I just something was stopping me going back to work. And it took me a while to realise that I just kind of needed. I wasn't with Will had gone, so I was by myself a lot.
Yeah.
And I've just thought I need like an interest, a separate interest. And it just hit me like one day. I just thought, well, why don't I just give YouTube a go? So much so that it was like the night before, and I was like, oh, my iPhone is like the thing was cracked on it.
Yeah.
I can't even do it off that. So I found another old iPhone in the drawer. Absolute terrible. It didn't even really. I literally picked up the phone on the Monday morning and just started talking, saying what I was going to do. Had no idea. I didn't even know how I was going to get it onto YouTube at the end of the week. Yeah. But apart from the fact I knew I was going to watch a YouTube video to find out how to.
Inception.
Yeah, and I worked out almost immediately that my ethos was going to be, you're going to do this for nothing. Yeah. So you're going to edit your video by not buying the video and package, video editing package. You can do everything, and you can do loads of stuff for free. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Even YouTube in reality is free, isn't it, in a way, which again goes back to how can you make money from it? It blows your mind. Yeah. I didn't even know what you needed to do. I just thought, I might get a viral video and make loads of money. Didn't realise you had to accumulate all these watch hours and then 1,000
subscribers.
Yeah,
like 4,000 watch hours.
And then all of a sudden, I think 3 weeks in, there's a beautiful moment, 3 weeks in or 4 weeks in. I don't watch a lot of my own stuff, but I did up till about 6 or 7 weeks because I realised that I was learning how to edit videos and I was learning a new skill. And that took over from doing the work. Yeah. And it's 3 or 4 weeks in, there's this moment where nobody's probably noticed, but it took me nearly all Sunday to get the beat of a song to match me hitting a chisel on a newel post, right? And I remember just going like mouse drop, just dropping the mouse, and I'd done it. And my computer is so laggy that you have to let the video make, because I have to do it all as proxy files, so it's lagging and it misses loads of frames out. Right, so once the video's made, I can then re-watch it. Yeah. And every time I made this video, I waited about 4 hours for it to upload. It was out of time. That's why it took me so long. And I finally got it. I was like, I've done it, just by guessing, just by doing it in the dark. I was like, yes, I've done it. Can't wait for this. Can't wait for it. Literally, like 2 weeks later, 64 views. Right? And the analytics don't even work when you're that low down. They just don't. And then I just thought to myself, don't make it about you, because it wasn't about me anyway. No. I think there obviously are,
I think it is about you, because it's not just like you doing like a time lapse all the time and not talking. Like you talk to the camera from what I remember.
Too much, yeah.
From the beginning, in that way. So it is very much about you. Yeah. And like
But what I mean is, I'm not doing it for me. No. I think I was, but not knowing I was doing it for me. Yeah. Not in the sort of like narcissistic sort of way, but there are, I was definitely letting go and just thinking what is, But it will be what it will be sort of thing. And then I just found like a separate interest really, I guess. Yeah. Just like making videos. And then I decided to set myself a little goal. I just thought, realistically, could I get to 1,000 subscribers in a year? Yeah. And I didn't.
What did you get to? You got very close though.
I know, and I hung on for 2 extra weeks.
Because I think when I found you, when Gav mentioned, I think I was maybe subscriber like 3, 4, 5 or something like that, and that was June, July of last year. So you did it was in January that you did get to the 1,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was January. I got to the 1,000, and basically, a week is they're going to go toilet on that carpet, aren't they? Yeah, a week is a year's obviously 52.
Yeah,
I did 54 videos and I got to 1,000.
Yeah.
No, 55, because when I got to week 54, because I think I filmed at week 54, or I might have done week 50, I don't know. But I remember saying to myself, well, you did go on holiday for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So don't count those, even though you did film and release something. Don't count those. And I was sort of conning myself into it. Yeah. And I found this side of me come out where I was like, not willing to accept it. And then I just thought, you're making this about something that's not now. Like your ego's taken over. Yeah. And I tried not any of the videos to be sort of like about me in a way. So I just thought, no, just if you feel like you want to make another video, make another video. Yeah. Because what I have worked out with YouTube is what you think is going to be really, really good won't be. It just won't. Yeah. Like, and I'm not very good at it either. So therefore, I'm not very good at having a very clear idea and making it concise and making it be what I want it to be. The stuff that you're watching is nothing like I want it to look like. It just isn't. Yeah. And I know I can't achieve that. Some people can. Some people just look better than me. That's the simple fact of it. They do. They look better than me. They sound better than me on camera. And their work's better than mine as well. There's people out there, but there's also people out there that look a lot better than me, can talk a lot better than me, and their work's dog, you know, crap. And I think, and they've got like hundreds of thousands of this, hundreds of thousands of that, and you have to let that go as well. And misinformation as well. They're giving like, some of the stuff I saw something this morning, and I just thought, what have you got? What if you played some epic montage of this? You can do it. Like it's kind of like a don't ever struggle if you ever think that, you know, this sort of
inspirational.
Inspirational sort of
motivational content.
Yeah, when life gets you down, just get back up. And he's just cutting a bit of decking. That's what you're cutting a bit of decking. I see people shoving decking into their cars on the bank holiday weekend at Wicks.
Well, like, maybe they watched the video and then that was the inspiration they needed.
Yeah, and maybe this guy's so clever that he's got shares in decking. Yeah. Maybe that's what he's doing. I don't know. And that's what I felt about YouTube. Is there all this underbelly to it that I can get in there and I can infiltrate and I can kind of go, this is how it works, and this can be a good passive income. Yeah. But actually, and I was mentally struggling with something I didn't know I was, but I was, and then it helped me in every way, but financially. Yeah.
But I remember you saying, I think when I came last, that someone had contacted you, and you have had jobs directly from it.
I think I've had 2 jobs out of it.
Yeah. So
in fact, that is from a. So that job is actually indirect because that's from a painter and decorator that subscribed to me. There you go. And they were like, I can't do the finish you want, but I know someone that can spray it, and it's to get this oak finish as well, and this lime oak. Yeah. So
So in a way it has.
In a way it has.
And also, have you built like quite a nice little community around it, like the people that comment
massively
on the videos?
Yeah. They go in and out. Like sometimes I even say to them, I get sometimes, I had the message literally on Sunday. I haven't had people watch my videos recently. I haven't put one up for weeks, so to be fair. And YouTube doesn't like that. Yeah,
you've got to be consistent.
You've got to be consistent, but then I just think, I don't care what you like, YouTube. I mean, I'm me. Basically, I had someone message you on Sunday saying, oh my God, just found your channel, can't believe how amazing it is. I'm on week 12. Yeah. And then they messaged me on Monday night, going, I'm on week 40 or whatever. And I just sent them a message, just went, calm down, because you are going to get very sick of me very quick.
That's probably what I probably did, like a very similar thing, where you just if you find something
we all do
interested in, and you're like, I'm just going to keep going on these. And then when there is that archive, and
people like the archive. And I copied Nick Bundy in that respect, because he did start doing the weeks. I even copied his, I didn't even know how to do it, so I just copied his font for the week. I didn't know how he do it. He used to do like Monday, Tuesday. I was like, that'll do. How does he learn that? And I found out, and I saw in one of his videos, I saw Kaden live in the background. I was like, wicked, I'll get that. And Canva, that was it. Canva for doing the thing. And there's another guy who used to ring me every week and talk about what he was doing in his workshop, and then he just went off the radar because he just got bored of the videos. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't take that personally, because he's not exactly seeing my best bits of the week, is he? No. He's seeing the most mundane bits of my week.
Yeah, I guess what you present, or what you do present, is very much in those videos where it was the weekly one. It's just a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like when I watched,
it's very hard to make it interesting.
When I watched them, I was like, this feels very chaotic.
Yeah.
That's not it maybe sounds in a bad way.
It was chaotic because
I think that's maybe because some of the work you did in those things was like quite reactive.
Yeah, very.
It's like going and like what I do, that's the absolute opposite of what I want to do. Yeah, I want everything to be ready, take it to someone's house, install it.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed there's no issues. Fingers crossed I remember where the plug is and those kind of things.
So that's what I want. I want all my work to be, and most of my work is like that.
There's definitely a balance.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and I think with the videos, I just went, well, you said you're going to do it, so you're going to do it.
Yeah, which is great to keep it going.
And if you go to worst case scenario, you just think, and then you go back to what we're talking about, that inspirational that video of like someone cutting decking. I'm going, worst case scenario, there isn't really one, is there? I'll just recut the bit of wood. Yeah. And I'll just say I've made a mistake and I've recut it.
Yeah.
And that helped me out a lot, not to take myself so seriously. But in terms of, I understand where you're coming from, because I want that. Like that media unit, when that gets fully sprayed and whatnot and it goes to the job, I want that to click together like the most sort of like sexiest bit of Lego that's happened that day. Yeah. And I want to be doing it while having a cup of tea with a customer. And it won't. No. There'll be something that will go wrong.
Yeah. A radiator pipe or something,
Yeah, and you just have to respond and react to that. So you're always going to have to react. I think YouTube made me go, I think I committed to doing it. And then it just so happened, like you said, that the first few weeks so that house I was working on, the builder kind of really made a lot of mistakes. And I outed him a little bit in a couple of the videos, but not really saying his name, which I found hard to do. Not going to lie, I said his name, I had to edit it out. But that was because I just felt sorry for the customer. I'd sort of stopped doing that sort of stuff years ago. Even I fitted their kitchen. I wouldn't normally fit somebody else's kitchen. I'd normally make one. Yeah. But then when I started doing bits and just making stuff up after we were going, he was like, oh, can you just do my wardrobes? Can you just do that? Can you just do, So, yeah, I guess kind of like I found with those section of videos I was doing at the start that I luckily misrepresented what I do as a living in the first few videos. So like you just said about the community, that's been as valuable without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
It's not like you haven't gotten the £5.50 from Google AdSense.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to let you know how much I've made. Yeah. You'll be amazed. I don't know if I've got the signal here.
But yeah, you've made that community out.
Oh, my money's gone down. Oh no, that must be.
Their cut.
What's it gone down? I was on like £28 earlier.
There you go.
The other day, Sunday. Yeah, but essentially it might be because we're in a new month.
So
I'm on £20. So the very best case scenario, I've made £48 since, which is only in my last two videos. Because the interesting thing about YouTube is that it's only after 1,000 views you make money, which I didn't know until I got monetised. Yeah. I also, when I got monetised, I didn't fill out all the forms straight away. It took me ages. I was like, I'll do that. But it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. Like, it's not going to pay for a Ferrari, is it? No. But the reality is there is something there that could happen at some point. Yeah. And also I've kind of learned something new and I sort of fell on my sword really. I said, I'm going to do that. And
you started it a year ago rather than starting it tomorrow. And then
That's good, exactly, yeah.
Rather than just being like, I should do this.
Yeah,
especially if you watch a lot of stuff on there. Sometimes there's people that don't watch anything and they're like, maybe I'll start that. But
and there's some people that will just start something tomorrow. They'll go. Do you know what? I might just start doing a little video where I'll go and like eat in a different restaurant every week, and they'll probably get like 10,000 subscribers overnight. And I can't help that. Do you know what I mean? I can't, and I can't help the fact that there's people on there cutting bits of decking to that. I just. Honestly, some of it is, you've probably seen it, you must have seen a load of it, and you just think, your work's awful. Like, and as they pan round to do like a little talk, and you just see something on the wobble.
Yeah. I mean, I think that whenever I post anything on Instagram,
your stuff's very clean.
Someone's like going to zoom in and go, what's going on with that? And
you can zoom in and find stuff, can't you?
But then
that's the reality of it. Yeah, you can't really help it. I always say to people, I didn't come up with this. My uncle came up with it. But basically, you've all got the same pair of eyes. Don't stand there in someone's house well, someone goes, "Are you happy with this?" and pretend that all of a sudden you've got a different set of eyes that sees something different. Like, because if you genuinely can't see what they're pointing out there and then, you've either got an attitude problem or there's something wrong with your eyes.
Yeah.
So at least you can go get one of them checked out. You know, I think that's so true. So I just try and have that now.
Yeah.
You know, to the point where your work's probably slightly different like that, but because I'm offering like painted finishes with most of my stuff, and I'm offering stuff that's scribed in a lot of the time, I will sometimes turn around to a customer and say, I'm going to come back another day and just give that another, you know, another touch up. And they're a bit like, can you, like, this has been like 3 days in my house now. You've talked the absolute crap out of me. Can you not come back?
You've talked for 2 days.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've still got your key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I was going to try and think of how we could talk about, like, if there's anything to do with like skating, and if that has ever like influenced you in your work or in.
I actually went out with Gav on Sunday morning because he was back down for a little skate, and I just slammed like straight away, just hooked on the coping and just slammed. And the noise I make when I hit the ramp now, the oof noise, like there's a lot more air coming out of me. There's a bigger thud, and and I was with my other mate on Monday morning finishing his bathroom, and I was like talking to him about it, and he was just like looking through me. He just didn't get it.
Yeah.
I was just trying to explain how funny it was.
Yeah.
But he's almost disgusted by it.
Yeah.
Disgusted that I like dare get up early on a Sunday morning and go and ride the child's ramp.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you don't really get it. It was quite funny sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that wraps up episode 3 with Matt Watts there. Back out in the camper van, just recording this outro. Really enjoyed that episode. I stayed with Matt for probably there for 5 hours in total, so a really long time, just chatting, and obviously recorded the conversation, but then spent some time taking photos and just talking about all kinds of tools and machinery and those kind of things. So it's really great. Been enjoying these. I've got quite a good list of people that I want to go and visit that I've kind of reached out to coming up, so hopefully I can share those in the coming months. Just need to kind of plan maybe a week of just doing them back to back, so that'd be really good. Just gonna keep sorting out the camper van, stack up the cool box, and get out there. Right, see you in episode 4 coming soon. Over and out.